you are to movie-related discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz! And I'm here today to review the 1962 Western drama, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, starring John Wayne, James Stewart, and Lee Marvin, directed by, who else? John Ford. If there's anyone who's synonymous with Westerns, it's John Ford. And I've seen a number of his films already. I've seen, not a number, I think I've seen about 3. I've seen Stagecoach, which is really good. I saw The Searchers, which is also very good. And there was one more, and I'm kind of blanking on it. I know I just recently saw The Quiet Man, but that doesn't count. But yeah, like, so far, I've liked a lot of John Ford stuff, and I am looking forward to talking about what I thought of this movie. So why don't we get right to the review of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, directed by John Ford. Man, I gotta tell you, like, John Ford stuff is hitting home runs with me every time. This was a really good movie, and I walked into this knowing this is probably going to be a very good movie, because I've heard nothing but glowing things about this, but definitely an exceptional movie that I'm glad I got to watch finally. I've become more and more of a fan of James Stewart, and this movie really also cements how much I really enjoy his work and how he does it. But I also really liked John Wayne in this movie too. Since I'm already on it, I'll get to performances. The performances are really good in this movie. I already said I really like James Stewart in this movie. He seems to play the underdog hero really well, and he does a really good job in this movie, so I thought he was really good in that. I was surprised how much I like John Wayne in this movie. I'm becoming more and more surprised of how much I'm actually liking him as an actor. It's easy to see why a lot of people ended up really liking him as an actor too in this. I want to give, I think, the best performance is Lee Marvin as Liberty Valance, who plays a sadistic villain in this movie. Man, he can play a real asshole in this movie. He does it really well. When he's on screen, he has a presence to him that is uncanny, and it's really good as him as the villain. So when he steps into town and everyone's afraid of him, you can easily see why, and you can believe it. And the back and forth that he has with John Wayne and him is really good. I really enjoyed his performance. I think it's the best of the 3 in this movie. And the other performances are pretty good as well. Woody Strode as Pompey is very good. Vera Miles is not bad as Haley in this too. A lot of the background support in this movie is really good as well. Like, just a really well acted movie. Writing, I am actually kind of surprised how deep this movie is. The dialogue is very good. I like where the film bifurcates what the difference between the mode of thinking of Ransom Studdard, who is James Stewart's character, and of Tom Domfin, who is John Wayne's character, and both personify their characters really well with how well the screenplay is in this, and where it shows the flaws of both men's character, where it does show that Tom is very much a person of his time and believes his way is the only way and nothing should change, and whereas Ransom's is one that things need to change and we need to get started on that, and this is not the right way. But how do you do that when the rest of the world is functioning that way? Also, the way that the screenplay dovetails everything with that and the press and how people perceive what's going on. It's actually a really good screenplay that I was actually surprised by how deep it is. And I bet I'll get more out of it once I watch more of this movie. But like, it was something that I didn't really think about as I was watching it. I was actually really enjoying the performances and everything, but looking back at it and watching this movie and thinking after it, it is really interesting how the storytelling of the entire movie is about storytelling around this town and how the importance of the press and what they did in that, what the press did in that too. The screenplay actually is really good, and the direction I think is also very good. I think The Searchers might be the best directed film so far of John Ford's, but this is actually pretty good. I think the tone shifting that they would have in this movie is actually very good as well. It knows when to be serious, knows when to lighten the mood. I really like how everything is done in this movie. John Ford's direction in this is actually really good in this. Okay, so let's get into spoilers for The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. If you have not seen it, you should come back when you're ready. We'll get the spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who is the man who shot Liberty Valance? Of course, if you even if you haven't seen this movie, you probably know some quotes from the film, or you probably have heard just from osmosis as to what happens in the movie. Basically, it's a standstill throughout the movie of who is going to kill Liberty Valance. Is it gonna be Tom, is the person who says the gun is the right way, or is it gonna be Ransom, who is the person who thinks that he should just go to jail and we need to stop using guns and stop using violence and everything? The Hollywood way, especially now, would be Ransom, which would be, no, we shouldn't have to use guns. Guns is not something that is the automatic answer for everything, so we should have a way of stopping this. Tom already knows, and as you will find out throughout the entire film, that when everybody, including the law, is afraid of this person, who's going to stop him? And what happens at the end of the movie, essentially, is that during a gunfight between Ransom and Liberty, Ransom kills Liberty. And then he earns the moniker of the man who shot Liberty Valance. This is where the storytelling and what stories do to drive people to make changes and where that happens. Because you learn at a certain point at the end of the movie is that Ransom didn't kill Liberty Valance. It was actually Tom. Tom waited in the wings while the shootout was going on, knowing that Liberty was not going to be able to pull it off, and shot Liberty for him. But he kept it secret because he loved Haley, who is the person that Ransom was courting throughout the entire movie. And Tom knew at that point that Haley was no longer interested in him. She was interested in Ransom. It really was an interesting play on what the press and what stories do to change people and to change minds and to change societies. Because if it wasn't for the strong man, who is Tom, to pull that off, there was no way people could actually believe in Ransom to change things in town. So if people didn't believe Ransom was able to do it, people wouldn't have taken Ransom seriously. But because he did, he was able to actually get people to go on board what he thinks was the right thing for that county and for that place to do. I think it actually was brilliantly done. I thought at the time, I was a little like, really? Ransom killed him? I don't believe that at all. But after like a few minutes, I kind of went with it and I was fine with it. But then when the reveal happened, I was like, oh, yep, makes sense. But it still worked. And it still worked because of the story that was being told in this. It was really expertly done on that. One of the things that this film does really well, but doesn't go overboard with it, was just to show how scary Liberty Valance is. Like, the beginning of the movie is Ransom talking about how he first got into town, and he got robbed by Liberty Valance's crew, and while trying to defend somebody, and Ransom, for trying to defend somebody, Liberty beats the shit out of him and whips him to a point where he was almost left for dead. And that gained respect for Ransom in the beginning, but it kept building and building until the eventual ending happened. I think one of the brilliant things about this movie that I actually come along with agreeing with is that you can be as forward-thinking and as well-intentioned as you want, but you need strong people to actually get that done. You need people to actually do the hard things to make that thing possible. The film brilliantly shows that as right as Ransom was, he needed Tom. He needed somebody like Tom to back him, even when he didn't want it to be backed by him. What I like about this movie, in my opinion, is that it doesn't devalue either man. It celebrates both. It recognizes that there is a need for a Tom and there is a need for a Ransom. I think movies now, or not even movies now, but most movies would force you to pick a side. And this movie says, no, there is good in both of these types of men, and in these types of people, we just need a way for both of them to succeed. In this film, you can debate whether Tom might have succeeded in his mission to make the love of his life happy and to help Ransom, but what did he gain in the end? You can debate that, but I think this film brilliantly shows that in order for things to change, you need both types of people to do that. You would need the strong man and you would need the forward-thinking man, or the forward-thinking person and the strong person. I think the screenplay and everything that the film is doing is brilliantly done on that end. Final thoughts on the film. I have really nothing bad to say about this one. This was a great movie. I really enjoyed this. You know, I think I will say this. I think this is so far my favorite John Ford film. It is a really well done film. It's got really good characters, it's entertaining, and it has a really good message that I definitely identified with, and I definitely appreciated as well. Performances are great. I especially like Lee Marvin, but both Stewart and Wayne and John Wayne are really good in this movie. I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. I think this is a really good movie. If you want to watch a good Western, I think this would be a great place to start. I think this is a really good movie, and I think it is something that deserves to be seen. I know a lot of people kind of poo-poo on Westerns, and I know a lot don't like black and whites. What are you going to do about that? But this is a type of movie that'll transcend people who won't like the old-timey Westerns because it has a lot of forward-thinking principles that I think a lot of people might actually appreciate on any kind of spectrum. So 4.5 stars for me on The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Man, what a fantastic movie. I really enjoyed this movie.